I wrote poems, and that was it in high school. I had no musicality other than I used to sing in bands. So when someone told me about this Quincy Jones audition, it was the boyfriend of a girl I used to be dear friends with, but she was a singer too. But she didn't tell me about the audition. So her boyfriend said, I said, well, when is it? He said, it's tomorrow. I said, what time? He said, I don't know. So I showed up at 7 a.m. and I stood in line. There were 3 of us in line. I was third. By mid-noon, when the auditions actually started, there were 800 people around the block. So I got in, and Tom Baylor was organizing how this audition was going to go. Since there were 800 people, they had a chart, and it was 5 days a week, 15-minute intervals starting at 10 a.m. with a break for an hour at noon for lunch, and then 5 o'clock, 15-minute intervals, Monday through Friday for the next 2 weeks. I said, I'm here now. I thought the auditions were going to be today. I'm ready today. I'm doing mine today. So as it turned out, my audition, Tom Baylor and Quincy told me to kind of set the bar for all the other auditions. And I knew that I'd blown it because I stood up to do my 15 minutes and I started singing this Patti LaBelle song. And I realized the mic wasn't even on. I was singing my song, and then when I realized it wasn't on, I just said, do you want me to start over? And I did. So, and then the woman who was transposing forgot she was transposing, so I just ignored her. But I knew that it was a bad audition, but Tom Baylor said, tell me it's great. And I'm like, sure. So then I got these letters. Then Quincy Jones had a meeting with his writers. I was one of the writers, because when you signed the group had to be artists and songwriters. I have to tell you this story just really quickly. When we signed, I hadn't written a song, and Quincy said we had to deliver 12 songs a year. 12 songs meant you owned 100% of all of those songs. I don't play an instrument. Shut up. And so, if they had to write 12, that means I had to write 24. And don't let 3 people be in the room, because that meant I had to write 36. So I was like, no, I don't want this. So they said, fine. They took their contracts to Quincy, and Quincy's like, where's Siedah's contract? They said, oh, she didn't want it. And Quincy said, you know what? Either you all sign, or nobody signs. Okay, so when 3 large black men are at your door, Siedah, bitch, you better open this door. And so I signed the contract. But I started writing songs, and they started cashing checks. And a year later, I got re-signed, and they got let go. So it was a good thing that I was so scared about being taken to court by Quincy Jones for not fulfilling my contractual obligation. I was really adamant about it. So he had this, cut to 3 or 4 months later, he had this meeting, or maybe a year, 2 years later. He had a meeting trying to finish out the Bad album, and he had all the writers in LA. There were about 6 or 8 of us at the time. We were all in his living room, and I was late. I showed up at the meeting late, and I knocked on the door, and I go in the room, and everybody's looking at me like, And Quincy was like, as I was saying before, I was really in a rush. And I had to like sit in the corner and take notes really quietly right there. So at the end of that meeting, I took the notes that I had to my writing partner, Glenn Mallard. And I said, Glenn, Quincy's looking for a song to finish out Michael's album, and he doesn't know, what he wants. And he said, well, let's just see what we come up with. Cut to 2 years prior to that day. I was in a writing session with John B., famous jazz keyboard player. And we were trying to write a song, and John, in the middle of writing our song, took a phone call. And I'm rolling my eyes going, oh, no, he did. This wasn't like, oh, my God, it's an emergency, you have to come out. This was like, he was asking like, yeah, no, I'm just, not doing nothing. And I'm like, so I'm thumbing through my lyric book while he's on the phone, I'm seething, right? And I hear him say, the man, in the studio, sitting on the floor trying to come up with something for Michael. Glenn starts playing. Dum, dum.